FixFox is a combat-free, narrative-driven puzzler that solo developer Renlike describes as a wholesome sci-fi adventure game. Now, it's hard to argue, as well FixFox has some darker narrative beats, which typically highlight the dangers of human greed and intolerance. The story focuses on family, redemption, friendship, and community. In the distant future, human-animal gene splicing has allowed humanity to survive diseases, adapt to climate change, and efficiently hibernate during space travel. You take control of Vix, your preference of he, she, or they, an anthropomorphic spacer mechanic sent to the distant planet of Caramel to repair an interstellar beacon that has gone dark. Vix is paired up with their overly protective AI-controlled toolbox, Tin, which happens to have several secret memory partitions containing 4 famous AI personalities, typically responsible for running many of Earth's essential services, all desperate for a vacation to resolve their crippling logical dilemmas. One crash landing later due to an electrical storm, Vix and Tin find themselves among a robot society, broadly split between the supposedly autocratic Order of Tools and the supposedly tyrannical Pirates, both of whom are misinterpreting the same old directive to preserve tools. Before long, they recover a cryogenically frozen human from a time when anti-splicing sentiment was rife, discover the stowaway AIs, and are forced into a relationship of convenience as they attempt to find the Beacon Keeper, deal with past traumas, and disable the source of the electrical storm trapping them on Caramel. With charming and legitimately wholesome dialogue, coupled with well-paced narrative beats, FixFox does a great job of keeping you engaged with Vix's quest, while frequent flashback sequences expand on the background lore. Now, it's a good thing the narrative elements are so strong. As while FixFox has engaging gameplay, it is increasingly reliant on repetition in the second half. Thanks to the overzealous Order of Tools, Vix's equipment is confiscated after their crash. As a result, FixFox is all about repairing machines and solving puzzles, while managing a quirky assortment of replacement tools. The click, drag, and drop interface, which you also use to sift through and manually sort your toolbox, is universal and designed to let you quickly grab items and use them on the parts of the machine you're trying to repair. Regardless of whether you're fixing an optional appliance or an advanced supercomputer, the process is the same. 1. Investigate the machine and use your available tools to loosen screws, to expose panels and wiring. 2. Select and apply the right tool to clean, repair, or refuel the components. And 3. Turn back on the power, or maybe solve a simple logic-based switch puzzle to bring the machine back to life. Seeing as you don't have screwdrivers, tape, solvents, lubricants, or soldering material, FixFox provides dozens of semi-logical alternatives. These are treated as relics you can bring to an oracle for clues on their use, and you'll need to accumulate, sort, trade, and modify your inventory as you go along. Coins and spatulas serve as great flathead screwdriver replacements, but those coins can also be coated in glowing, scented, or flavored goo to satisfy some of the weirder components. Postage stamps and band-aids replace tape. Scrap metal serves as an electrical conduit, or you can use a banana for a potassium conduit. Donuts and cookies function as gears. Vegetable oils replace lubricants, and apple juice can serve as an acid. There are several basic component types you'll quickly recognize, and some tools that can satisfy multiple parameters, but the act of fixing is always satisfying, without ever being overwhelming. When you're not fixing machinery, you're traversing zones on the planet, or ships in orbit, by paw, scooter, or spaceship. You'll also be quizzing the robot residents for clues on how to progress the story, obtain tools, and you'll be exploring junkyards to find parts and assemble jumbots. Think large, specialized machines with unique abilities like pulling, digging, and drilling. Although you can complete FixFox in under 10 hours, it still has a problem with repetition in the second half, and it features several underdeveloped elements that just feel like padding. As the bulk of Vix's journey revolves around finding the Beacon Keeper and the source of the electrical storm, setting up scanning nodes, powered by your 4 AI stowaways, is a primary objective. However, after the enjoyable opening sequence gets you up to speed, you'll find yourself raiding 4 junkyards, twice, to find the 4 components you need to construct a jumbot, twice, that are then used for quests to help the local robot population and access a node point. Despite the contrived structure, the exploration, puzzling, and brisk pacing kept me engaged, but then FixFox asked me to do it again for a few hours. Another issue is the structure of the world that, when coupled with some arbitrary restrictions, results in what can only be described as busy work for the sake of it. The first thing of note is the unique tool modifiers in each region that you'll want to stock up before leaving, unless you enjoy backtracking for 10 minutes because you forgot a chocolate-flavored dip to power some plot-essential machine in another zone. The second issue is the presence of the Order of Tools and the Pirates. Sure, they play a role in the narrative, and they provide Vix with several upgrades for his equipment, but their gameplay function is to randomly appropriate tools, should you fix too many objects, or raid too many stashes respectively. How do you avoid this? By travelling back to an inhabited settlement, and resetting the countdown using a radio. Of course, none of these issues are game-breaking, but they serve to highlight the underlying artificial structure. They feel like arbitrary busywork, and they just impact immersion. If there's one benefit to the backtracking, it does give you time to admire the simple but striking visuals, and soak in the excellent soundtrack. FixFox is viewed from a top-down perspective, without the common isometric skew that adds a sense of depth, and it can often look like a papercraft collage. Viewed in isolation, the vibrant colours and charming pixelated designs are striking, but it's the few animated props, simulated shadows from the day-night cycle, and the soundtrack that really bring the world to life. The electronic soundtrack in particular is incredible. Most tracks are variations on the theme tune, which has strong frontier vibes, but they're all tweaked for the setting. The desert track mimics a western theme, while the farmland theme is upbeat and features banjo strings. The soundtrack's also dynamic, blending in and out as you travel around a zone, or transfer into orbit. There are also unique chilled nighttime variations, complementing the action as you find a nice spot to set up a campfire for the night. And there's also a catchy tune for when you're in the repair interface. Now, despite my gripes about some repetitive elements and light padding, FixFox comes recommended for anyone looking for a narratively compelling, puzzle-centric, and violence-free adventure. The quirky cast and novel setting provide the perfect backdrop for a mechanically simple but satisfying puzzler. The visuals and excellent soundtrack are the icing on top, ensuring your eyes and ears are always pleased. We need more violence-free adventure games, but we also need more of them that provide compelling gameplay, rather than just relying on the narrative and presentation to carry the experience. FixFox does all three, and mostly gets it right.